Welcome to the Sleevy G Show. I'm the host with your most. My name is Gomez, and tonight a special guest. As football season is upon us already. Yes, I know it's a few months early, but it doesn't matter. We could talk football any time of the year. My special guest, you see her on Twitter. Not on Twitter, I take that back. You see her on TikTok. Got the wrong T wrong. You see her on Instagram. You know her as the New York Giants fangirl, and you got to check out her podcast on YouTube and everywhere on podcasts on Spotify and Apple. Everything New York Giants. I got to bring in Adrianna. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I got to thank you for coming on. I see you're always busy with the TikToks and the Instagram. And I got to tell you, for me seeing a female perspective as yourself, knowing the knowledge you have on a team, especially of the New York Giants, is so amazing because I listen to you all the time. I found you on TikTok a few months ago, and I'm like, wow, this girl knows what she's talking about.
Thank
And
you.
and with numbers, years, your stats, everything. And I'm just like, wow, on point like this. It's very rare to see that. And I was like, she has to work for the Giants. And I remember I caught one of your Instagrams. He said, I don't work for the New York Giants. I would love
hmm
to. I go,
Yep.
don't get me wrong. I would have loved to work with the New York Giants as a coach because
Mm.
I had that coaching bug many years ago as a high school coach.
Okay.
And when I got hurt from my knee injury, I never got a chance to play college ball.
Mm.
So I enjoyed coaching high school football in Rutherford, good old St. Mary's, where we won the state championship in 2006. And you ready for this one?
Nice.
We got to beat a New York Giant that time, number 80, Victor Cruz.
Oh,
I
that's awesome.
I got to see that man play in high school football at Patterson Catholic. And I have the
That is
ring.
amazing.
So for me, I got the ring in the background. We can't see it because I got the Sleepy G post, but I have the ring in 2006. The year, I think that was his senior year that we beat him.
Wow.
So it's always an honor to say, wait, I got to see Victor Cruz play a lot. I used to videotape him to show the coaches how he was playing. I mean, that whole team was a monster team. Even Coach Benji, who was the head coach of Patterson Catholic, was just an incredible coaching staff, great team, very respectful. And Victor Cruz turned out to be a blessing in disguise as he went to
hmm
UMass and he went undrafted to the New York Giants. And let me tell you, that man brought some moves. Probably one of my favorite wide receivers, besides our boy Plexico.
Mm.
Before he did something stupid, we're not going to go there. Um, but we're here to talk about this coming season of the New York Giants, and we're both excited because we got to see them this year. A huge improvement
Yep.
from what we saw a year ago after we fired everybody pretty much and their mother
Yep.
out of the front office, out of the coaching, and we brought in some, let's say, the Buffalo way to the Giants, which I kind of like the demeanor we're going with. I like Coach Dable. He's a very good head coach, nice
hmm
and young and energetic. I like Joe Sheehan too. Unknown GM is the best way I could put it. And he pulled out some things last year. And now I know the first thing we're going to talk about is Daniel Jones.
Always. Got
It's
to talk about
always,
DJ.
you got to talk about poor DJ. Listen, this guy has had it rough.
hmm
Okay, last year I think was the first year we got to see what he is made of.
Yep.
First of all, he had under 11 interceptions of the year, which is an all-time low.
Yep.
Guy threw, I think, for 17 touchdowns and threw a little over 3,000 something yards. Let's just say that much. And yes, he got a very nice payment for the next 4 years. He got 45 a year. Everyone blew their lids. And this is technically his fifth year now as a New York Giants starter.
hmm
Now, I remember many, many moons ago, we had a quarterback the same way. And in Eli Manning, and let's just talk about that. We signed him for a big balloon. Oh my God, why did we sign this guy? He's horrible. And what did he do in his fourth year? He brought us to the Super Bowl championship game, which we didn't have the greatest team that year. But we went into the playoffs, got blessings and Hail Marys.
Yep.
And who do we face? We faced Brady. trying to go the perfect 19-0, but they did make one giant mistake. We came to play. Now everyone's talking about that balloon contract that DJ got. I compare him to Eli Manning. Granted, this is his 5th year. What are your thoughts too?
I think everyone overreacted about the contract. The way I felt was, you look at the quarterback market, right? And the reality is the expectation was Jones was probably going to get anywhere between 35 to 38 million based on what other quarterbacks were making, based on their numbers and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe people felt that 38 was on the high end. That's fine. That's their own prerogative. But the fact that he got 2 million more than that a year, his deal is only 40 million a year. And people will say, oh, it's not only, it's a lot of money. I get it. The reality is it's not your money. So if the expectation was that he was getting anywhere between 35 to 38 and he ended up with 40, it's not like he ended up with 60. It's not that big of a difference. And I know everyone was freaking out when they saw the 4 years, 160, it's automatically 40 million a year and blah, 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 blah. But when the Giants released the rest of the details of the contract, there's an out after year 2.
Yeah.
So if they really go and they build up the O-line and they build up the weapons and the defense can make some plays and we have a better overall team like the Eagles did, and Jones still can't take us to that next level after 2 years, then goodbye.
It makes sense after 2 years.
You get another quarterback. Right. But at that point, then you have the rest of the team built. Yeah. And in theory, all you need is the quarterback to step in and replace Jones. Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Jones is going to be fine. I think the second year in the offense with guys like Darren Waller and Isaiah Hodgins and whoever we pick up in the draft and some of these other guys that they brought in, we are going to see a very different offense than we have seen in the last few years. So I'm really not worried about him at all.
I'm not too worried either. I actually liked Daniel Jones. Listen, we understand, Joe Sheehan and Brian Dable brought the Buffalo Bills ideas of offense of what they did. Yes, they brought some players from the Buffalo Bills this year to the Giants. Hey, listen, it's a beautiful culture. I love what they did. And I'm going to tell you, Daniel Jones did things that I didn't see him do the first 4 years as a Giants quarterback, not a head coach. I take that back. So for me to see Daniel Jones under not even a full year with Dable and did what he did, we went 6-0 almost. Okay, the first 6 games. We beat the Tennessee Titans the very first game. That's probably one of the hardest games right off the bat. You play a lot of these great teams, and he's done some wonderful things. He is a prodigy of the Mannings because of the coach from Duke, and who coached Eli Manning and Peyton at Ole Miss and Tennessee at that point. So to me, he's got the pedigree. The fact that how well he's handled the New York criticism, just like Eli did. Yes, they do have the same identical look when it comes to like talking, but the fact that the man gets beat up every day, I respect him. And
he's destroyed.
He gets destroyed no matter what. Even if he has if the man threw 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, he still gets ripped for something he threw a pick. I mean, the man did not throw that many picks this year. And if he did this past year, it was nothing out of the ordinary. It was just that the corner was a little bit better than our wide receivers. I looked at it this year, was a total transformation. The offensive line was, wasn't 100% healthy. I'll say 80%.
Yeah.
But they did a hell of a job this year. Yeah, did they stall a few times in a couple of series? Yeah, they did. But
compared to what we've seen
before,
they were pretty good. Yeah.
They were pretty damn good. I mean, for me being an ex-offensive lineman, I'm always proud to say that. You know what I mean? I love seeing the ground and pound game, especially when you have a running back like Saquon. Now, here comes up to the next thing. Saquon is looking for Christian McCaffrey money. Now, I get it. He is a great running back. Out of his 4 years so far as a New York Giant, he's played 2 good seasons and he had 2 injured seasons.
Yeah.
He had his rookie season, which was phenomenal. His second and third years are covered with injuries. So we still can't figure out Saquon's league. This year, He came back healthy as hell.
Mhm.
Now, what are your thoughts on Saquon not signing his tag, and what are you thinking if the Giants sign him long term? What do you think? What do you think of many years of what to give him?
So I feel the same way about the Jones contract as I do about Saquon not signing the tag. Everyone is overreacting.
Mhm.
The reality is that Saquon is going nowhere because what are his options? This is his only option. If he doesn't sign the tag and he decides by July 17th that him and the Giants can't work out a long-term deal, he can go and be a free agent. But the bottom line is that if he goes to be a free agent, who is signing him for the $16 million a year that he wants? He's been
Yeah.
he's been everything and more to the New York Giants. They can't pretty much ask for anything more than him except that he stays healthy, which at
Right.
some point is out of his control. So other teams have seen what he's done. It's the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is an incredible player. Why is no one paying him the money that he wants? At the end of the day, people in the league feel like they're not worth it. And when you see what happens with the running back market this offseason, unfortunately, I think his agent kind of screwed him, just like Julian Love.
Yep.
They said, go into the market and see what happens. And these running backs got paid nothing. So I know he's Saquon Barkley. I know he's had great seasons and whatever. He's also dealt with injuries. It's par for the course. But he's just not getting $16 million a year. And I love Saquon. I think he's extremely talented. In my opinion, there's no running back who deserves $16 million a year. Unless you are scoring multiple touchdowns every game and the team is a run offense only, the league is a passing league now. Yes, you need a good running back. You need someone like Saquon, but Saquon is not an excellent pass blocker. He's gotten better at it. He's not
Yeah,
that
he
great at
has.
it, though. And he
Correct.
doesn't have the best hands. McCaffrey has better hands than he does. And the other thing is, I did a really deep dive last week into other running backs' contracts because I really wanted to understand if Saquon thinks he deserves $16 million a year, let me see what these other guys are. Let's compare the numbers. Let's do the whole thing, right? And see where it's coming from. And when you look at the average salary for these running backs for the 2023 year, no one is making more than $12.5 million. No one. Maybe they have incentives that are going to get them to that $16 million. The
Right.
average salary is 12.5 for the highest paid player, which is Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. And I think Josh Jacobs is less than that.
I think he is.
So, when the Giants offered him, I have heard anywhere that they went up to 13 to 13.5 million a year. And he said no. And I just think he's not getting that from anyone else. So he's going to sign the tag that's going to get him at $10 million this year. Joe Shane pretty much said to his agent, and he said it openly to the public, that whatever deal they had that was on the table during the buy is not on the table anymore. So, maybe they're going to come in and sort it out for 11 to 12 million a year in incentives. But I just think that the running back is maybe not as valuable as a position as it was in the past.
Right.
And, I just don't think anyone is willing to pay him that.
And that's the thing. I mean, I when I look at a Christian McCaffrey to a Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey he's played a little bit longer. Yes, he's been injured prone, but man, when he's running, like you said, he's scoring multiple touchdowns. He's not scoring one. He's scoring two or three. And that's two behind in the backfield and one catching, or it could be the other way around. And that's the thing. He is truly your
He's a well-rounded back.
Yes.
Across the board, everything.
Kid from Stanford, first of all. I remember when I saw him in the college, when I saw him play college ball, against Stanford versus Notre Dame, because I'm a huge Notre Dame guy. So I love Notre Dame. So you
must have been really sad to see Julian go.
Yes, I was. As a Notre Dame fan, it's kind of hard, but business is business. I'm a huge New York Rangers fan too. So my wife loved Matt Zuccarello. So when the Rangers traded Zuccarello away, my wife was very upset, and so was I. But I said, business is business. Unfortunately, we have to let him go. We still cheer for him every time we see him.
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's business. I mean, I
And
was
you
so
can't keep everyone. It's just the reality.
it is. I mean, would I love to have kept Love for a couple more years? Yeah, would have loved it.
I know, me too.
But unfortunately, I get it. Business is business, and we had to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Now the big thing is what the Giants are trying to accomplish. And let me tell you, the tight end group that's now what we have. You got Daniel Bellinger, which I thought was a surprise tight end, overall decent until he got injured with the I think it was his eye, I believe was, which was a serious injury, but he
Yeah,
came
poor
back.
guy.
But he
Yeah.
came back towards the end of the season.
I think if he didn't have that injury, he would have been probably, maybe aside from Saquon and Jones, the best player on that offense.
Yeah.
I think he's got a really bright future here. I'm excited about him.
I'm excited about him, but I'm also excited about our newest tight end that we got, Darren Waller. Now,
Me too.
I've seen him play at Oakland with Derek Carr. Sorry, I keep the Carr brothers mixed up every time. One's better than the other, though. I've seen this man play. Man, he is a big tight end, which we haven't had in a while.
He's 6'6".
And
he's huge.
That's a huge target. So Daniel
Yeah.
Jones, you could actually throw as high as you want, and the boy's going to catch it.
Yep.
Keyword, I hope.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm excited to see him because, first of all, I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked Evan Ingram, but the problem with Evan Ingram was I felt like the man was a little bit of I hate to say the word poison, is the best way I could say it, because he dropped so many easy balls. Like, why the hell can't you catch that ball? Why couldn't you block? Why can't you do this? I get it. You were one of those tight end receivers. I get it. But
yeah, he was converted to a tight end. And I think that was not what
he wanted.
I don't know who did that, but I don't think it was the right move for him.
It happened in college. Wherever, I forgot where he went to college, but that's where it really happened. He was a tight end. He was
I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, he was better as a receiver. I think he would have been a true number one receiver if he trained as a receiver. He trained as a tight end. He did not stick his hand in the mud, and that's something that we haven't had. Ooh, man, Jeremy Shockey days almost, where he would actually smack people around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's me speaking. I could be wrong, but I think Darren Waller brings that nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
But also, people were worried about he had a habit. Talked about it openly. He had a drug habit, and the guy talks about it openly. I think he's over it.
Yes.
I think, and that's something that I don't know, that hits home for me. So I mean, it looks like we have a good tight end group, but now the big question mark. It's the wide receiving core we have. I think probably we have. I'm looking at the current roster right now, and it's kind of funny. Just trying to see.
Probably like 10 of them on there. I feel like there's so many now.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think tight end is probably one of the position groups on this team that I feel really good about. Like, we are in good shape. We have a lot of tight ends. They are tall, they can block, they can run, they can catch. I think we have a really good mix. I think this is the first time in a long time we're going to see some 2 tight end sets.
Yes.
We are, I want to see some, I know Gronk is Gronk, but like, I want to see some Gronk, Kittle, Kelsey. Like, I want to see our tight ends do stuff like that.
I think we
have
will.
Not been able to do that in years and years and years. And I think this is going to be the first year that we see it, and I can't wait.
I think it goes back to the Jeremy Shockey days, I think, because I remember him being that nasty tight end. He'll put his hand in the mud or in the turf now. Should take that back, the turf. And he would literally belt you on the line, but he also could catch and he could run with the ball, which is something. It's hard to find a tight end, all around good tight end like that. And to get Darren Waller for practically nothing. Joe Sheehan stole Darren Waller from the Oakland Raiders. I mean, the Vegas Raiders.
And not only that, he restructured his contract when he got here.
Yes.
So it's even better now than it was before. So he's one of the guys I'm really pumped about.
So am I. And one of my favorite, actually, wide receivers, now, as we're talking positions here, one of my favorite wide receivers, hey, listen, I love Sterling Shepard. I feel bad for this guy. He's gotten so much bad luck. And he re-signed with the Giants to come back to the Giants for a minimal cost
Yeah.
for I think a year, or I think we signed him for a year or two.
Yeah, it's
And
only 1 year. I think Shep is towards the end of his career, and this might be the last year that he plays, but I think he felt like he wanted to finish his career as a Giant. And not only that, I don't know how many other opportunities he was going to have based on his injury history. But honestly, if I were the Giants, I would have signed him solely on the fact that he is the ultimate hype man.
yeah,
He puts everyone in the right move. He is the most supportive, encouraging. Like, if I was ever having a bad day, I would want to talk to Sterling Shepard, and I just would feel like I could take on the world.
me too. I actually, seeing him on the sidelines with the team, with the
Mm-hmm.
earpiece, getting the team hyped up, getting everyone worked up, even when we had a losing streak of 4 games,
Yeah.
And again, not by much. We only lost by a couple of points again.
Yeah.
That's been the defensive factor for the New York Giants, which we'll get to soon. I love the fact that he is coming back. I think now that we have the new turf on the field this year,
Oh, I hope it makes a difference.
I'll knock on that wooden head right now. Me too,
Yeah.
because I would like to see Sterling Shepard end his career with the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He's given everything to the New York Giants, and the Giants gave him, "Let's bring you back. You're home.
Yeah.
You're our guy." We also picked up Jamison Crowder and Paris Campbell. Now that's an interesting duo because we know Jamison Crowder from the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
He played there, and I think he signed with the Buffalo Bills. I think he went to, and he played with Josh Allen this past year. I think he's a decent pickup. I think he's a hard-nosed slot receiver. I don't think he's going to be your number one receiver.
Yeah.
And Paris Campbell's another one that I was really hyped up to hear. I mean, I'm not thrilled about his jersey number 0, but I'm not gonna. Hey, listen, I ain't gonna worry about jersey numbers. I just want to see action. And again, now that I know the draft is next, as this show will be aired after the draft, and I know the Giants are either gonna trade up to get somebody good. I mean, everyone in the draft class is really good, but to get who they're looking for, but I'm still hearing rumblings. I don't know about you, but I'm still hearing rumblings about DeAndre Hopkins maybe still coming to the Giants for a trade.
Mm.
Now,
Someone asked me today if I thought that after the draft, the Giants would trade for a wide receiver. And I think the way I feel now is I wouldn't put anything past the Giants. I think anything is possible. I think it all depends on who's there at 25, who's there at 15, if they want to trade down to get whoever they want to get. But I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's possible. I think that the over 30 injury prone thing is maybe not going to help his cause, just like it didn't help OBJ's cause. So I don't know.
as now you hit
Well, I brought it up.
you brought it up. You brought it up. Odell Beckham Jr. I have to say this man has massive talent on wide receiver. Okay. The fact that he went a little cuckoo during the Gettleman McAdoo era, I think played a huge part of his departure with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he kept still in touch with John Mara when he went to Cleveland was still amazing, that he had that type of relationship still with Mara, after the fact that the Giants traded him off. And we saw a boy leave the New York media to go to Cleveland, not Chicago, Cleveland. And I saw Odell play, and I felt like he was starting to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really saw him grow up when he got traded from, I keep saying Chicago, Cleveland, to the Rams, their Super Bowl run. And if Odell did not tear his ACL up in the Super Bowl, he was clearly going to be MVP, not Stafford. Because that ball was thrown to Odell Beckham so many times before he got injured. Odell was open. That was the first. I haven't seen Odell play so well since he left the Giants.
Yeah.
And, his miracle one-handed catch, which still was in his Rolls Royce in his Cleveland jersey, which still annoys me. But we know he signed with the Ravens for 1 year. What was your ideal? I have my thoughts. I know you have your thoughts. I'd like to know what your thoughts are before I think of it. What was your thoughts of hearing Odell Beckham trying to reconcile to come back to the Giants with Saquon, with Sterling, with DJ, with what's been what we call a very decent rebuild this past year? Imagining if we had OBJ back on the team, what would be your thoughts about that if he was, or now we know he isn't, but did you have thoughts on that?
I would have taken him for a cheap deal.
Mhm.
I think Giants fans are nostalgic, and I get it. When he was with the Giants, he was the best version of himself on the field. And like you just said, since he left the Giants, he hasn't been that same player. And the injuries play a role in it, and whatever else, I don't know. From all of the things that I've heard coming out of the building, it sounds like Dave Gettleman drove a lot of people a little crazy. So I think when he got to Cleveland, he was humbled, and I think that was a big reason for growth. I think that in the injuries, and that's why we're seeing a more mature version of him now than we did. But something that I think Giants fans have escaped their memory, and what I like to remind them of, is that yes, the antics were part of it, which I don't like. I could get past the stuff that happened with the Giants if it wasn't for the plane incident. I'm like, we're finally in the clear, right? And then the plane incident. I'm like, come on, just stay out of the news. Like, I want to read about you playing football and not doing stupid stuff and getting kicked off airplanes. So, it is what it is. I could get past that. It's fine. I think a reunion would have been nice, but what everyone forgets is that, yes, he came up big during regular season games, but in the one game, in our one playoff game in 5 years that we needed everyone to step up, our best player on the team shits the bed.
And
missed passes, dropped balls. I mean, and that was at the height of the best of his career. And in the Super Bowl, of course, it's a different story. Things have changed. He's gotten older and whatever. So I would have taken him for a cheap deal. We were never going to give him anywhere close to the money that he got in Baltimore.
No.
But
yeah, what did he get? 18 1 year? 18 million?
That's 15 guaranteed.
Yeah, that's
insane.
I would have.
He's coming off a huge injury. Like, to me, that's too risky. And I really respect Joe Shane and his theory, and I 100% agree with him that you can't overpay people, whether it's Saquon or Jones or Odell. When you look at the market and you see what these other players are making, when Jalen Hurts just got paid $51 million a year, Jones's contract is a joke next to that.
Yeah, Jones' contract now is a joke.
Right. So no one's talking about Jones getting overpaid now.
No,
when you see what these other quarterbacks, Burrow, Lawrence, I mean, these guys are going to get paid a crap load of money. And Jones is going to be nothing, pennies compared to that.
Well, it's kind of funny. If you remember, now I can say it's 5 years ago, we drafted Daniel Jones. And there was that, what was that quarterback that got drafted to Arizona, who got so pissed at the Giants?
Murray?
But no, not Kyler Murray. God, he's been bounced now all over the league. He went to UCLA.
Oh,
Rosen. Josh Rosen. Thank you. There you go. I couldn't think of his name. I was thinking Kyler Murray, but Josh Rosen.
I didn't realize that's even where he started, because all I know is, I swear, every year he's on a new team and I can't keep up with him.
Yeah, well, I don't even think he's on a team right now. So, I mean, here's the thing. He was supposed to be selected by the New York Giants, supposedly, in number 6 that year. Something must have happened in his interviews or his demeanor of playing in New York. I think he would have been shredded in half.
Probably.
And then when I look at the difference between him and Daniel Jones, Josh Rosen ended up, it was like in the movie Draft Day, when Kevin Costner goes, I'm calling him a bust. Call it thing on Bo Callahan. That's what Josh Rosen ended up being, a bust. You know, he goes, well, I want to, now that I'm at number 10 at Arizona Cardinals, I want to prove everybody wrong. Everybody that who passed up on me, I'm the best quarterback out there. Dude, you didn't even last a season. You didn't last 2 seasons at Arizona. You got cut by the team when they brought in the newest quarterback, Kyler Murray, which he's still a phenom in my book. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see what he does with the new coach this year.
Mm.
But you get bounced. You back up all these great quarterbacks, but you're not the quarterback. That's just trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
You're going to be a
About
back.
Josh Darnold or not
Sam
Josh.
Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Here we go. Starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Gets traded to Carolina. Has an opportunity now to be a Carolina starting quarterback for Carolina Panthers. Does decent, and then he breaks down. Carolina trades in for Baker Mayfield. That's kind of a little disheartening because, you know, Sam got hurt, and then they bring in Baker Mayfield after their number 2 quarterback got injured. So they had 2 injuries already to 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
To me, I like Baker. I always did like Baker. I don't know what is about him, but when he played, I remember him playing at Texas Tech, but something in Oklahoma, he just turned out to be a hell of a gunslinger. And to me, I think he's a good quarterback. I like him. I actually was hoping, if we didn't sign DJ, I was kind of hoping the Giants would go after Baker Mayfield.
Oh, really?
I really liked. I could see Baker Mayfield as a New York Giant. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that rebel side of me that we need that kind of quarterback a little bit.
Yeah.
He's injury prone too, but the fact that the man plays with an injury, he doesn't want to come out of the game injured.
Yeah, he's tough like Jones.
Yes, you know what I mean? And that's what I like about him. If we didn't sign DJ, I was kind of hoping to go for Baker Mayfield, but now he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and we wish him all luck over there too.
Yeah.
But I love that fact, you know, and you're looking at Jameson Winston, who was the Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback, and then he goes to New Orleans, and, you know, he starts, doesn't start, you know, it hasn't been a quarterback friendly year either.
The whole quarterback shuffle that has been going on this year has been fascinating.
I'm still waiting to hear what's going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
He's telling everybody, I want to be a New York Jet, but now I'm hearing rumbling San Francisco now is throwing into the honeypot.
I heard San Fran was taking calls about Trey Lance.
Yeah.
But Rodgers said that he would never play for San Francisco. Now, I don't know if he really has a say in it. At the end of the day, they could probably just trade him away and say, you got to deal with it. You know,
yeah.
They're not on great terms right now. So I don't know. I didn't watch his whole interview on the Pat McAfee show, but what I thought was interesting, and I was like, is this semantics or is this strategic? And knowing Rodgers, it's strategic, that he said that he intended to play for the Jets. There was no, you know, I really like the coach and the organization and respect the way they turn things around. And I love New York and I'd love to be a Jet. Like the way that he spoke, I don't know. I felt like it was very calculated, and it wasn't like he didn't seem that excited about the prospect of being a Jet. And I just think you see some of these other guys who, you know, want to get traded and then they get traded, or, you know, they get drafted or picked up by other teams, and they're like, Darren Waller was ecstatic to be a Giant.
Yeah.
Nacho. I mean, if you've seen the videos of these guys, they are in the building, they're FaceTiming with the coach, like they just can't wait to be on the team. And I don't know, something about that. I just was like, I don't know about this.
I think ever since he stopped dating Danica Miller or Danica Patrick, his life went cuckoo a little bit, because she, you know, when Danica Patrick was dating Aaron Rodgers for a while, they would do all these weird things. Like she does all that yoga and, you know, weird stuff. And I think Aaron Rodgers fell for that too. You know what I mean? So I think he
started doing ayahuasca or whatever.
Yeah, whatever else.
4-day darkness retreats.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that she does it, because I follow her on Instagram, to see what
Oh,
she's up to. And she does all these Arizona retreats and
interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, she does all these weird ice baths and does all these hot yogas and I felt like, when she was dating pretty much everyone in the sports world, uh, she really got Aaron Rodgers into it because he looks like John Wick. He looks like Keanu Reeves, John Wick style with that long hair of his.
Yeah, you'd never expect him to be some like hippy dippy.
Hanging off a Ford pickup truck with beer in his hand,
Yeah.
which is, you are a Hall of Fame quarterback. You replaced Brett Favre. You won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, which is probably one of the most respected teams out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To me, teams that I truly always will respect, with it besides the New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers is one. Just
Mm-hmm.
the fact that that's just a true gritty town. That's one. Green Bay Packers, the history of Vince Lombardi and the history of the Green Bay Packers, like the New York Giants, it's just a true thing. I will never, and I'll say this with true passion, you'll never, ever hear me say anything good about the Pats.
Oh no.
When Brady was on the Pats, hated him then. When Brady was a Buccaneer, hated him then.
Yep.
One player that I respected though from the Pats maybe was Gronkowski.
I love Gronk. I think
He
he's so, you can't not like him.
No, and he played so well. Granted, he played with, you're talking about one of the best quarterbacks, still question mark on 2 Super Bowls. you know, uh Deflate Gate and the videoing
Yep.
one year, you know what I mean? Which I still have, I think they should still put asterisks on those two. Um, but is Brady the GOAT? I hate to say it, yes. I mean, am I glad as he retired? Yes.
I'm so glad. I'm
Well, we
sick of
hope he
him.
is. Yes, so am I. But when you look at him, where he came from and who he replaced, you replaced Drew Bledsoe. You start off with nobody, and then 2 or 3 years later, you become a Super Bowl champion. I respect that. I like his work ethic, but his demeanor and attitude towards people and some players and some teams is something, I never liked. And it was kind of funny. I remember the idea of hearing Brady come to the Giants. I said, if that ever happened, I'll become a Jet fan so quickly. I'll wear that green color, or
Oh,
I become a Pats fan without Brady.
yeah.
I mean, yes, he brings something to the table, but I don't think I could ever see a number 12 in the New York Giants era ever.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, not for the quarterback. Darren Waller's going to wear number
Number
12,
12. Yes,
but
that's fine with me. I love the fact he's
yeah,
wearing that, but it's not the quarterback who's wearing it, which is good for us
right.
New York Giants fans. You know what I mean? It's the passion of the team. I mean, now I know you don't live in New Jersey. I remember you said you live, I think, in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, I'm from Jersey.
Okay, you're from Jersey. I was just about to ask you
Yeah.
now, how did you become the passionate New York Giants fan like everyone else is in the
Oh,
state of New
yeah.
Jersey?
I think, one thing that I love about the Giants, and the reason that I'm a huge Giants fan, is because of my grandpa. And
Okay.
I think you hear that a lot with Giants fans. Like I asked some people recently, I don't know if it was on Instagram or TikTok or something, but people who are fans of other franchises outside of the New York area. And I mean, even people, especially who are Cowboys fans, like there's no allegiance there. There's
Mhm.
no like true deep rooted allegiance. And my grandpa was a Giants season ticket holder.
Okay.
He went when they used to play in Yale. He had season tickets for years and years with my uncle, and they went to all of the home games. He took my mom to some of the games. We went to some of the games. I have 3 brothers, so we have been to a few of them before they gave up. They gave up the tickets when they switched to MetLife and took on the PSLs, which, you know, I love the fact that the Giants are also a family run business.
Yeah.
I don't love the fact that they did MetLife and took over the PSLs. That was the first time in years, which there's good and bad, right? Like that was the first time that some people actually were able to get tickets because they
Mhm.
weren't on the family waiting list for 20
Yeah.
years. So, I think that's nice, but also like what happened to the loyalty from the people who, like my grandpa, were season ticket holders for years and years. And then all of a sudden they have the PSL. And, my grandpa's like, I can't afford to pay this. So
Yes, I heard some of the
us
PSLs were ridiculous.
they're out of control. I looked into getting tickets during COVID because they were doing a payment plan.
Mhm.
So I looked into that, and the price of the tickets themselves are not that bad if you're a season ticket holder. Like the
Right.
face value, I was like, wow, I could afford the tickets for the year. It's the PSL that's the problem. Like
Yeah.
you could spend $10,000 for PSLs, but your price for the tickets for the whole season is like $1,100.
It's like ridiculous.
I'm like, how does that work?
I don't know how that works, but it worked. It somehow it works out for somebody, but not for you and me.
Right,
We're,
exactly.
I always said Giants football is blue collar football. My old team at St. Mary's in Rutherford had the same color of the Giants, but a little bit darker blue. So that was one thing I always loved, being called Big Blue. Matter of fact, my nickname at work is Big Blue, which has stuck with me, for many years now at work. And I don't mind it because it reminds me of the Giants. And my passion for the Giants was just seeing the logo on the helmets, but we're talking the 1980 helmets, where it's
Mm,
Giants across the helmet. Not
I love
listen,
those helmets.
I love the New York helmet now. Don't get me wrong, but I love seeing when they bring back the nostalgic of the 80s uniforms. I get excited to see the old helmets because it brings back a lot of memories. And I remember a good friend of mine when I was about to go to high school. He was a neighbor across the street in my old house, and we had all those blizzards in the 90s. We would always play
Mm.
tackle football outside, and he was much older. He was in college, and I was in eighth grade. Because when you play football for this team, you need to learn how to tackle. And he would run me over. He loved Hampton, so one
Oh,
of his favorite players was Rodney Hampton. And I remember
mm.
one Christmas I actually got him the jersey.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
as being great friends, great neighbors. Um, I always looked up to him, and he was a huge Hampton guy. And I remember he will always say, "Here comes Hampton," and he would truck me, literally run
That's
me over.
awesome.
But I remember
Well,
there was. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, I mean, those 80s teams were built different. Like I was watching some highlights and stuff from back then, and even guys like Joe Morris were literally just steamrolling
Oh yeah.
people, and Otis Anderson and Howard Cross. And I'm just like, this is what I want to see out of our players. Like
Yes.
I want to see Daniel Bellinger just absolutely destroying defensive players. Like
Oh, I know.
let's bring that back.
And just seeing like LT blitz,
Oh,
like
oh my
the
God.
last good blitzer that I remember was Antonio Pierce in middle linebacker position.
Yeah, he's the last great linebacker that has been on this team. It's
And yeah,
been that long.
it's been that long until we got Blake Martinez until he got injured.
Yeah.
And that he would have been the next great giant middle linebacker. I was sad to see him go, but I understand it's business.
Yes.
Um, you know, me watching the Giants, one of my non-favorite running backs ever on the Giants was Tiki Barber.
Mm.
I never liked him for a lot of reasons. And the fact that he said, "Oh, we're never going to win a Super Bowl with our quarterback," with Eli Manning at that time.
Mm.
It's so funny the year he retires,
Yep.
the Giants win the Super Bowl. And I remember I saw Tiki Barber a couple years later when I was working at a different company that I'm no longer with. And we had what's called a pro show. And Tiki was there signing with John Starks. So I said I would love to get Tiki's autograph. So as a company, we had to go last, which I totally respected. I had a football, actually, I had a Giants football that I had Dan Reeves's autograph.
Mm.
So for me, it was personal because my dad knew Dan Reeves because my dad
Oh.
used to work at a restaurant, and I actually wrote letter. Me and Dan Reeves actually used to talk through letters and everything. And anytime when he left the Giants to go to the Falcons at that time, he gave us tickets to come out and support the Falcons. Of course, it's kind of hard to wear Falcon black in the New York Giants thing, but you remember those things. I kept all those. I kept the few letters that I have from Dan Reeves, and I still have the football to this day, autographed by him, which is like one of my prized possessions, besides anything New York Rangers.
Mhm.
um, I saw Tiki Barber, and he goes, "Oh, I'm done." I go, dude, there's like still a line here. He's just like, "I'm done for the day." I'm
Oh,
like,
that sucks.
I said, "Oh well, that's why you didn't win a Super Bowl." He goes, "What'd you say?" I said, "You heard me. This is why you left the team. You're all about you."
Mm,
And he was pissed at me. I saw it, but I'll say it straight out forward. It's all about you.
yeah,
You were never for the team. And Brandon Jacobs and Amar Bradshaw
I
was
love those two.
those were the number one and number two running backs, like what they were doing with Saquon and Breida.
Mm,
Okay, I love that 1-2 combination.
yeah.
We haven't had a 1-2 combination since Jacob and Bradshaw.
No, there's never been. It's been Saquon, and then he's been injured, and the guy
Yeah,
behind Saquon has been nowhere near the talent level of
yeah.
Saquon.
And I remember seeing Jacobs for the first time, and I remember I'm like, dude, it's 280-pound running back. That's a bulldozer. And I remember me and my dad watching the game, and I'll never forget this. It was I think it was a Cowboy game, and he went right up the gut, and he ran over. If I think it was Ken Norton Jr. or Ken Norton, it was a very talented middle linebacker from the Cowboys, and he put his shoulder pad down and lit him up like a Christmas tree. And I'm
Oh, I
like,
believe it.
I was just like, and I'll say it, holy shit. Yes, words can be said in this show like that. But
Okay, good to know.
yeah, I mean, I don't care if it slips, it slips. I don't mind. Um, it's just one of those things. You just see Brandon Jacobs. That guy was huge, and then you got Bradshaw was lightning. It's thunder and lightning, as I call them.
Yes. So I was at the Lions game last season at MetLife,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was at one of the tailgates that LPG license plate guy goes to. And Brandon Jacobs was there, and I had never seen him that up close. I actually got a picture with him, and I saw him in person, and I'm small. I'm only 5'4", so I I know that to me everyone probably looks bigger than they normally are because I'm
Right.
so like little. But I saw him and I was like, like I didn't realize that he was that big. He looks like he could have been a linebacker.
You would have
And
thought he
you
would
know,
have
he's
been.
not, yeah, he's not playing anymore. So I'm sure he's not as big as he was, but I was just like, holy shit, I cannot believe how big this guy was. And Bradshaw was there too. I didn't see him at the tailgate, but at one point in the game, they announced that Thunder and Lightning were there, and they both rang the bell. And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!
That's so great.
The good old days."
You know, it's kind of funny. As I got older, and I didn't go as many games as I used to, but with my wife, we were able to go catch a couple of games, and I got to give my wife credit because we went to a couple of really bad cold weather games in December.
Oof,
And we
they're
went to,
brutal.
yeah, they're brutal, but for me, as a huge Giants fan, I'll sit in anything.
Mm.
And of course, the one year we see the forecast, there's rain and snow coming. It
Oh,
was like that wintry mix, and we're in the third tier at MetLife. And yeah, yeah,
and it's windy up there.
it is windy, but you know what? I had so much fun. I had a smile from face to face. You know what I mean? Like for me, football is if I was able to coach it and go collegiate and go to the NFL, I would have been the world's happiest guy ever.
Mm.
But I gotta say, I was lucky and I was able to coach high school football, and that's something I'll take to this day. Down to I hopefully pass it to my son one day to let him play football. If he doesn't, hey, I'm okay with it. But it's kind of funny because I just love the Giants. I love what they stand for, and they're a true gritty team. And I can't wait to see this season what we're going to bring to the table. I mean, there's so much potential.
I
Um,
agree.
I mean, granted, I know we signed a center um, not too long ago.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, am I going to miss Nick Gates? Yes, I'm going to miss Gates. He was such a great player. You know, all these guys. It was kind of funny. I keep hearing Justin Pugh's name come around as a guard,
Yeah.
I know he's a free agent still, and I know he's been in contact with the Giants, and I'm like, I don't know if I want you back.
Yeah.
The only one I probably would have taken back was maybe Will Hernandez.
Mm.
I think he had the potential to be one of the better guards that we had in a long time. But again, like you said, Gettleman, McAdoo era, what was that coach we had? Was it Sherman?
Shermer. Yeah.
Shermer. Not I don't know. Shermer. I liked McAdoo when he got the Giants to 11-5. Then when he became Mr. Hair Slick,
All downhill from there.
all downhill. You should have just not changed. We liked you as
The
floppy
goofball.
hair. Yeah, the goofball look. That was probably when he was the better coach, and the slick hair look didn't work. Also, you're trying to replace probably one of the best coaches, I think, in the league at that time when you're replacing Coughlin.
Yeah.
Coughlin, that's a hard man to replace.
Yes, it is.
Donnie Deal is another hard man to replace. Eli Manning, Jacobs, Bradshaw. Some of these awesome players that we've seen play as I'm getting older. You might be a couple more years younger than me, but that's okay. There's age is not a difference. Is with the love for the Giants is the thing.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see Eli bring the Giants to Super Bowl, and it's kind of funny, 4 years apart, and they are against the Patriots. The man brought 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl championships. And he's passing on the knowledge to Daniel Jones. From what I'm hearing, they still talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones is working as hard. I saw a clip of him on TikTok the other day. Daniel Jones looks like he got bigger.
Yeah.
He looks like he's more tougher this year, which that means if he runs somebody over, it's going to be a great show to see this year.
Yeah. I think a lot of us forget how big him and Eli were, because when they're around the offensive line, they look small. But I think that both of them are like 6'3", 6'4". Like they're pretty big dudes.
Actually, Daniel Jones is 6'5". He's a big dude.
Wow. Yeah.
When you say that, you're like 6'5", and
Yeah, he doesn't appear that big.
No, he
but if he
doesn't.
put some more muscle on, he could. I mean, he took a lot of hits last year. I would like to see him take less hits, but hopefully him kind of beefing up a little bit, maybe that's going to help him.
Yeah, Eli was 6'5" too. So you have the same height quarterback, so nothing should change except for attitudes, maybe.
Yeah.
But Eli and him are the same height, which is kind of funny. Except I think he weighed a little bit more than Eli. Daniel Jones is at 230 now. They have him listed.
Okay.
And they got Saquon at 232. Which kind of
wow.
Yeah, they got Saquon weighing in at 232.
Okay.
So, which is kind of funny. I didn't think he was that much. I thought he'd at least be 225, 220 with all that muscle of his, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's just so funny that, we're talking about Barkley. We have Tyrod Taylor too. Again, a great backup for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I think today, was it today or the other day, you kind of mentioned something. Quarterback came to see the Giants the other day. Everyone's
Hendon Hooker, everyone
Yes.
up in arms.
Up in arms that he came to talk to the Giants. Guys, it's an interview.
Right.
Guys,
also we've pretty much always had 3 quarterbacks on the roster. With Davis Webb gone, there's no quarterbacks on our practice squad.
No.
So if God forbid we have what happened last year, where Jones and Tyrod, was it last year or the year before?
It was the year before. No,
Jones and Tyrod both went out, and you have to have your running back taking snaps.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's on fire when you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Listen, I have no problem running a Wildcat. I have no problem running the Wildcat. I think if you do it a couple times a game, that's pretty keeping everyone honest. But I want to see more power I, double tight end.
Yeah.
Twins right, single back. You know what I mean? I want to see more of that this year. I think we're going to see it. And Saquon, if you're listening to us when this comes out, just sign the tag, please. We love you. You're a great Giant. We all know you are.
Yeah.
And maybe after this year, when you sign the tag and you break 2,000 yards,
Right.
and
Then you get paid.
then you're going to
For
get paid.
sure. If you got more ammo to say, I deserve X, Y, and Z based on this season.
Listen, his stats are incredible from what last year is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue that he was a huge piece, if not one of the biggest pieces of this offense. But that alone doesn't mean that he's worth $16 million a year.
So
And
far,
I
yeah.
know, people will make the same argument that I made with Jones. It's not your money. I understand that. But what's obvious is that Joe Shane, Brandon Brown, and whoever else is in that front office thinks that Saquon is not worth $16 million a year, where they think Jones is worth 40.
Yeah.
And no one is going to argue that a running back is more important than a quarterback. So
it's everyone in the position. There's 11 guys on the field,
right.
Offensive and defensively. It has to be something that's got to be harmonized and play as a not as a team, but as a family. You have to have each other's backs. It shouldn't matter who had the bigger contract. Right. Yeah, again, I understand it's about the money. It's about everything. But the problem is, what happened for playing for the love of the game? See, me, and that's something that's missing.
But I see that point of it, but I just think that times have changed so much. And, if you're a running back, you're more injury prone. Your career is not as long as some of the players in other positions. And I think some people are just, at the end of the day, it's a business. Mm-hmm. And yes, these people love their job, but you can make the same argument for them that you can make for someone who works in an office job.
Yep.
They're out there risking their life and their health. They deserve to make more money. I will never dispute that. I think that's fine. What they think they're worth versus what a GM or the market thinks they're worth may not be one and the same. But at my office job, I'm not risking my life and my health to get whatever I'm getting paid in return. So, and I don't love my job by any means, so I'm not going above and beyond unless they want to pay me above and beyond.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like a little bit of the discrepancy in it. And I see that point of view, but I think, like, especially with all of these concussions with the CTE, like I just watched another documentary on Aaron Hernandez, like you just see all of the things that have happened. And then, all these former players who said that their health insurance with the NFL and their disability insurance goes away after they're out of the league for a certain amount of time. I mean, I get it. I get that these guys, they want as much money as they can. They really are risking it out there. And I think that's fair. But what I would say when it comes to the contract thing and the money and the talent thing from a running back perspective, look at the Eagles. Mm-hmm. The Eagles had three very talented, but not top 5 running backs in the league on their team.
Miles Sanders.
Look at their offense, Boston Scott and Gainwell, who came out of left field. Mm-hmm. And look at what they did. And they're going to lose Miles Sanders this year. And I guarantee they're probably going to get Bijan Robinson. And they are still going to have a stacked offense. They're going to have an excellent run game. And they don't have a Christian McCaffrey, a Saquon Barkley. At the end of the day, you don't need a number one $16 million a year running back to win games. And the Giants have needed it because their offense has been pathetic.
Yeah.
But when they can get better weapons in other positions and a better O-line, and more comfortability and continuity in the offensive scheme, they could do what the Eagles did and have 3 good running backs who can rotate and play well and run down the middle and break tackles and whatever. And Miles Sanders is getting paid $6 million a year.
Right. And that's
like,
something.
It's just crazy.
So you want to laugh a little bit? So I'm just looking as we're talking, I don't want you to think I'm being rude, but I'm looking at stats right now for Saquon and Christian McCaffrey for just this year.
Oh yeah. They're pretty similar.
Not by much though. Not by much. So Saquon, full year as a New York Giant, attempted 295 times he touched the ball, ran for 1,312 yards, averages about 4.4 yards per carry. You had 10 touchdowns this year. Okay. Now I go to Christian McCaffrey. Don't forget, he got traded mid-year or a little under mid-year. So
I think it was right before the bye or something, right after
something
the
like
bye.
that. It was I think it was during the bye. So he goes 85 attempts with the Panthers. Okay. And he does 159 attempts as a San Francisco 49er, which now equals a 244 attempts at 746 plus 393 for 1,139 yards. But the funny thing is he has 8 touchdowns. So Barkley is a little more, he had 1,300. He had about 200 more yards than CMC. But also CMC finally got an offense that could actually block for the guy, who could actually make holes. And on top of it, he was throwing touchdowns too.
Yeah.
And that CMC money came in 2019.
Right. He got paid years ago.
So 2020, 2021, he was very injury prone. Carried the ball 59 times, 225 yards, 5 touchdowns. In 225 yards, 5 touchdowns, that's pretty damn good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the year after that, 2021, 99 carries, 99 attempts, only had 1 touchdown. So it just shows what CMC is compared to Saquon. I do love Saquon. He is the true running back for the New York Giants. Just sign the tag, buddy. You have another good year, you're going to get paid.
Yeah. He's going to sign the tag. He needs the leverage, though.
Yeah.
Because if he signs that tag, then the Giants can come back and say, nah, we'll worry about it next year. We're not so sure about a long-term deal. So
and that's what I keep hearing.
Power.
Yeah, and that's what I keep hearing. The rumbling is we're not going to pay you $13 million.
Right. That's why I'm telling everyone not to freak out too, because I'm like, he has to use something to his advantage.
Yeah.
If he signs that tag, it could be all over for him. And he's 26. So it's probably a risk that he doesn't want to take, that he signs the tag with no long-term deal. And God forbid he gets injured this year, he's not getting paid anything next year.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny, last year was Daniel Jones make it or break it year to get paid. And the man throws
look what he did.
472 attempts at 317 completions, a passer rate of 67.2%. He throws, holy shit, 3,205 yards. I was not far off when I said 3,200 yards, but I'm actually off on my touchdowns to interceptions. He had 15,
what was it, like 15-5 or something?
Yeah, 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's bananas. So, yes, he has proven that he could actually be the quarterback. Compared to what he did last year, he actually only, 2021, he still had a decent one. He only threw 7 touchdowns. 7 interceptions, but 10 touchdowns. It wasn't like his rookie year, 2019, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But again, you had offensive weapons at that time. You made things happen as a rookie. You're also replacing probably one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. To pass the torch from Eli to Daniel Jones was the hardest thing to see too. You know, as a last game I think it was against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And to see Eli Manning passing that torch to Daniel Jones, to me, I still choke up because
I know, me too.
It's hard, but we're getting close to the end of the show. And then I know we didn't touch much on the draft because we really wanted to get a lot of the other things on the way. Draft is coming up. Giants pick in the 25th this year. They have this second round, I think, was number 57. Third round is number 89. Third round is 128 overall. So fifth round, we got 160 and 172. Sixth round, 209. So the Giants actually have some, Jesus, I don't realize how many draft picks they got until now. When I'm looking
10.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had 10 draft picks this year.
Yeah.
So round one, 25th overall. I'm going to ask, what is your opinion what the Giants should look for?
To me, it all depends on who's on the board. And, I've been saying this for the last couple months with people because, everyone does their mock draft starting January 5th.
Mel
And,
Kuypers.
yeah, it goes through all these different scenarios, and like 99.9% of them are never right. So I just have been saying to people, like, don't fall in love with a certain player because you're going to be devastated if we don't pick them. So for me, if Jordan Addison is on the board at 25, that's who I'm picking.
Okay.
I would like a wide receiver. To me, he's my favorite of the bunch. I mean, outside Quentin Johnston, who I love, but I think there's no shot of him coming to us at 25. I think it's a little more possible in my thinking that Jordan Addison could make it to us. If him, Johnston, JSN, and Flowers are gone, I'm probably going cornerback.
Okay.
Because from what I've been seeing recently is that the experts think that a lot of the centers and guards are going to fall to the second round, and that teams might be realizing that they're not worth a first round pick. So if that's the case with the experts, then I'm cool with getting a center or a guard in the second round. More likely a center. But I'm okay if they don't pick one at 25. I'm not going to have a meltdown.
Now,
as long as they pick it at 57.
Yeah, well, I think in the second round, I'm going to agree with the center. I agree with you 100%. I don't the picks of centers and guards and tackles this year are not the cream of the crops.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're good, but they're not where, holy Christ, we need him at the number one pick.
Yeah. I think Osiris Torrance might be the only outlier to that, but the rest of them, I think, right. I think the rest of them can wait.
They definitely can wait. I think I would like to see Johnston from TCU as a Giant. Either the Giants do two things. If Johnson isn't gone within the first 10 rounds, I see the Giants try to trade up for him at the 11th pick. If he's not gone in the first 10 rounds, in the first 10 picks.
Yeah.
If for some reason if he's still there at 15, which I doubt he will be, but if that's something that happens, which we've seen.
Yeah. You never know with these things.
Flowers would be another great pickup from Boston College. And Forbes from Mississippi State, who was a cornerback. I would like to see a good powerhouse receiver that is an Odell Beckham type of deal. Big, like Darren Waller, but who could run and catch that ball. Hey, listen, there's going to be times that DJ is going to overthrow somebody or short pass. Hey, no one's ever perfect. You're not Joe Montana, John Elway. I can continue. You're not a Patrick Mahomes either. You know what I mean?
Right.
But DJ's our quarterback. I believe in DJ. I believe in the system. I think he's going to do some great things next year, this coming year. He's got some offensive weapons. He also has a line that can actually stay healthy. It's going to be amazing what the Giants do this year.
I agree.
I think number one overall, if for some reason Johnson's there at 10, you do a trade. Get the 11th pick. If he's not gone, trade for the 11th pick. Trade your number one. Go get it. Let's go get it. Let's be aggressive this year. I think that's what the Giants need to do this year is be aggressive on draft day. If they want to take a note from the Kevin Costner movie Draft Day, sprinkle some fairy dust, you trade the number 7 pick to the number 1, go back to number 7 and make some things happen, then let's do it. Let's get aggressive this year. I'm liking what the Giants is, but before we say goodbye, I'm going to say two things. What is your prediction for the Giants this coming year for the NFC East?
Ooh. I think they're going to come in second. I think they can beat out Dallas. I think they can beat out the Commanders. I think they will split it with Philly. But I think regardless of how the draft goes, the Eagles still have a better roster than we do. And even though we've made improvements, we're just not on their level yet.
Not yet.
I think we're getting there, and it'll be closer this year. But they're still their roster is unbelievable. Even though they lost a couple people, I still think that we're going to have to beat them twice, and I just am not so sure that we can do it. Dallas,
Okay.
on the other hand, we can.
Well, I like the prediction. The fact that Dallas actually just cut Elliott, which is kind of really stunning to see that, because he got big money and he turned out to be kind of a bust.
Yep.
I hate to say that. I thought when he first came into the league, I thought he was great. But
And
then
he did, I was going through some stats the other day, and I forgot about this. Maybe it's just because I don't particularly like him. Is his first couple years in the league, he was the rushing leader.
Yeah.
But he definitely fell off. And I said it all last season. I said, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm keeping Tony Pollard and I'm getting rid of Zeke Elliott, because Tony Pollard is just as good, if not better, and he's a hell of a lot cheaper. And Zeke still has not been picked up.
No, he's talked to the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Is the only two teams I've heard.
Oh, interesting.
So they actually got him in a picture. I don't know if it was TMZ reported seeing Zeke at the Cincinnati Bengals gym with the voluntary workouts this week.
Okay.
I think it was Monday he was caught in there at the training facility at the weight room.
Okay.
So I don't know if he was just there to hang out or watch everything and see the progressions, but I know the Jets and the Bengals were two teams that he's very interested in signing or playing for. I'm kind of weird to see him in green.
Yeah.
But if he signs with the Jets, that's fine. I think that would be a good pickup for him, especially for Zach Wilson if he's going to be still the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. I hope nothing but the best for this kid. The kid's not getting a fair shot. Yes, he's a little bit smaller. Yes, he needs to shut his mouth a little bit about his girlfriend's mom.
Humbled a little bit. Yeah.
But remember this, you're now probably in one of the toughest markets in sports industry.
Yes.
Not just including, you're talking about NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. We're New York.
And also he went to BYU.
Yeah.
But I think he needs a better PR person. Someone needs to help him out a little bit to deal with the media, because they're not going anywhere. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, is arrogant and whatever, but he knows the league. He knows what to say. He's on his way out, so he probably doesn't really care what he's saying, but he can handle the media. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience. But maybe he could be a mentor to Wilson if he ends up there. You never know.
You never know.
I don't think Zach Wilson is that bad. No. I think he needs some help.
Yeah, he does. I agree with you on 100%. He needs a little help, and hopefully he gets it. I hope he does.
Yeah.
On that note, Adrianna, I gotta thank you for coming on tonight. This was probably one of my favorite shows that I've done in a while, because I have not really talked sports yet. So it's been awesome. You're always welcome back to the show anytime. Even I think maybe preseason, maybe we'll get you back on. We'll talk the season opener for the Giants, what the schedule's looking like maybe in August. Get you back on. We'll get the juices flowing for everybody. But let's tell everyone where they could find you too. You know what I mean? Let's let everybody know.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And at that time, we will have a lot to talk about. We'll know what the draft looks like, what the off season looks like. We'll know about Saquon and Dexter and all that fun stuff. So definitely. So I am on Instagram and TikTok at Newyorkgiantsfangirl. And then I also have a podcast called Everything New York Giants. I have had Howard Cross on. I had Lance Meadow, who does some of the Giants podcasts. So had a great chat with him. And most recently, I had Mike Greenberg from ESPN, also known as Greeny. I know that's what a lot of people know him by.
Yes.
We talked about his book. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked about the Giants and the draft. So so everyone can find that on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and it's called Everything New York Giants.
Well, as you can see, folks, two big New York Giants fans. She is definitely legit, guys. I'm talking about, I listen to her more than anybody else right now. I know there's a couple of podcasts out there that are true Giants, but when it comes to numbers and stats and everything, you've been on point with everything. So I'm so happy I found you through TikTok, which is how I found you originally. And, thank you so much for everything that you do for the for Instagram and TikTok, and to the fans too. Very informative. I like the fact you reach out to everybody, ask questions, and you answer them, which is awesome, which you did today too on Instagram. So I got to thank you for coming on tonight. Please check her out on Everything New York Giants on YouTube and all the podcast stations. Check her out on Instagram and TikTok, New York Giants Fangirl. I want to say good night to her. You can easily find me, guys, on cvgpodcasts.com on my website. Click the link on the bio on my Instagram, CVG79, Twitter. Also check out my YouTube show, which this will be airing probably around mid-May, which I kind of say now, but whatever. As we end tonight, thank you again, Adrianna, for coming on. And nothing but love, peace, and happiness, and go New York Giants.
Yes, go Giants. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.